It started as a game about characters and comedy until Ryan Reynolds revealed the man hiding behind every mask. Studio 6B was buzzing that Friday evening. The Tonight Show's blue and gold lights cast their warm glow as the Roots laid down a mellow groove. 300 audience members filled every seat, electric with excitement for one of Hollywood's wittiest stars. Jimmy Fallon, sharp in his navy suit, bounded onto the stage with infectious enthusiasm. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jimmy announced, "please welcome the incredibly funny, devastatingly handsome, and surprisingly Canadian Ryan Reynolds." The applause was thunderous as Ryan emerged from backstage. At 46, he moved with confident swagger. His black suit emphasized his lean frame, hair styled with effortless precision, and that signature smirk was already firmly in place. He waved to the crowd with theatrical charm, pointing finger guns at audience members and winking at cameras. It was quintessential Ryan Reynolds, charming, irreverent, seemingly incapable of taking anything seriously. They settled into their chairs, and Jimmy launched into his usual opening about Ryan's latest Deadpool film, Gin Company, and legendary social media presence. "Ryan," Jimmy said, grinning, "you've built a career on making fun of everything, including yourself. How do you come up with this stuff?" Ryan's response was immediate. "Well, Jimmy, it's simple. I wake up every morning, look in the mirror, and think, how can I disappoint Canada today? Then I work backwards from there." The audience erupted, and Jimmy doubled over. The conversation flowed with typical brilliance. Quips about Blake Lively, self-deprecating acting jokes, witty parenthood observations. "You know what?" Jimmy said, reaching into his jacket. I've got something special planned. I'm calling it Real Ryan versus Character Ryan." The audience perked up. Ryan raised an eyebrow with mock suspicion. "Oh, this sounds dangerous," Ryan said with deadpan delivery. "Are we talking personality test? Because I failed those in high school." "It's even better," Jimmy explained, pulling out cards. "I'll give you scenarios and you respond as either real Ryan or one of your characters. The audience guesses which is which." "All right," Ryan said, adjusting his jacket. "But fair warning, Bang, the line between real Ryan and character Ryan got blurred around 2016. I'm not sure where one ends and the other begins." The audience laughed, but Jimmy caught something in Ryan's tone, a flicker of something deeper beneath the joke. "Perfect. Let's start with an easy one," Jimmy said, consulting his first card. "You're stuck in an elevator for 3 hours with your worst enemy. What do you do?" Ryan immediately shifted into Deadpool mode, complete with exaggerated gestures. "Well, first I'd probably make some inappropriate jokes about the confined space. Then I'd start narrating the situation to an invisible camera. And finally, I'd break the fourth wall by acknowledging that this is clearly just a setup for either a romantic comedy or a horror movie." The audience roared with approval. Jimmy applauded enthusiastically. "That's clearly character Ryan." "Okay, next scenario. You win the lottery. What's your first purchase?" Ryan switched gears completely, becoming more subdued and thoughtful. "Honestly, probably therapy, like really good therapy. The kind where they have those fancy chairs and the therapist doesn't judge you for eating cereal for dinner 3 nights in a row." More laughter, but this answer felt different somehow. More honest, less performed. Jimmy mused. "That one's harder to read." "Okay, final scenario. Someone asks you to describe yourself in one word. What do you say?" Ryan opened his mouth to deliver what was surely going to be another perfectly crafted quip, then stopped. The pause stretched longer than it should have for someone known for his lightning-fast wit. Ryan started, then stopped again. The confident smirk that had been his constant companion throughout the interview began to waver. "None of them," he said quietly, and his voice carried a weight that immediately shifted the energy in the room. Jimmy's smile faltered as he realized they'd stumbled into something much deeper than entertainment. "What do you mean?" Jimmy asked gently, his game show host enthusiasm replaced by genuine concern. Ryan looked out at the audience, then back at Jimmy. When he spoke again, his voice was stripped of all performance, all cleverness, all the verbal gymnastics that had made him famous. I mean, none of those responses were real. Not Deadpool Ryan, not self-deprecating Ryan, not even thoughtful Ryan. They're all just characters I've created because I don't know who real Ryan is anymore. The studio fell into an uncomfortable silence. This wasn't what anyone had expected from the man who'd built a career on never being serious about anything. Jimmy glanced at his production team, then made a decision that would define this moment forever. He set down his cards and leaned forward, abandoning the game completely. "Ryan," Jimmy said softly, "talk to me." Ryan ran his hands through his hair, disturbing that perfect styling for the first time in the interview. "You want to know the truth?" Ryan said, desperate. "I've been doing characters so long, I've forgotten how to just be a person. Every conversation, every interview, every interaction, I'm always performing. Always Ryan Reynolds the brand, never Ryan the guy." The audience was silent, witnessing something unprecedented. "It started as defense mechanism," Ryan continued. "I was this anxious kid from Vancouver, terrified of not being interesting enough, funny enough. So I created versions of myself that were more confident, clever, entertaining than I actually am." Jimmy stayed quiet, letting Ryan continue. "And it worked. People loved sarcastic Ryan and charming Ryan and self-aware Ryan. But I'd built a prison out of punchlines. I can't turn it off anymore. Even with my kids, with Blake, even alone, there's always this voice writing the next joke, crafting the next quip." Tears were visible in Ryan's eyes now. "The worst part is, I don't know if people would like the real me. What if I'm boring? What if without the jokes and charm and constant entertainment, I'm just nothing?" Jimmy made a decision that transcended television. He stood up from behind his desk and walked around to sit in the chair beside Ryan. This wasn't a talk show anymore. This was one human being trying to help another find his way back to himself. "Ryan," Jimmy said with absolute conviction, "I need you to do something for me, and I need you to trust me." Ryan nodded, wiping his eyes. "I want you to sit here with me for 30 seconds without saying anything. No jokes, no quips, no performance. Just Ryan being Ryan, whoever that is." "Jimmy, I don't think—" "Trust me," Jimmy said firmly. 30 seconds, starting now." What happened next was unlike anything in late-night television history. Ryan Reynolds, the man who'd never met a silence he couldn't fill with a joke, sat quietly. At first his hands fidgeted. His eyes darted around the studio. You could see him fighting the urge to say something clever, something deflecting, something safe. But slowly, gradually, his breathing steadied. His shoulders relaxed. And for the first time in the entire interview, his face was completely unguarded. The studio audience watched in fascination as the layers of performance peeled away. What they saw wasn't less than Ryan Reynolds. It was more. It was a man who was thoughtful, vulnerable, real. When the 30 seconds ended, Ryan looked different. Not diminished, but somehow more present, more authentic. "How did that feel?" Jimmy asked gently. "Terrifying," Ryan said honestly. "And also kind of amazing. Like I've been holding my breath for 20 years and finally remembered how to exhale." The applause that followed wasn't the usual talk show applause. It was recognition, appreciation for witnessing something genuine in a world of carefully crafted personas. "You know what I saw during those 30 seconds?" Jimmy asked. "Oh, what?" "I saw someone who's thoughtful, who's present, who's dealing with real human struggles just like everyone else. And you know what? That guy is fascinating. He's worthy of love and respect and friendship, not because he's entertaining, but because he's real. Ryan wiped his eyes again, but he was smiling now. Not his trademark smirk, but something smaller and more genuine. But what if people expect the jokes? Ryan asked. Then you give them something better, Jimmy said. You give them the truth. You give them a person they can connect with, not just a punchline machine they can consume. When they returned from commercial break, they had a different conversation. Ryan talked about anxiety, about the pressure to always be on, about learning to find value in himself beyond entertainment value. Jimmy shared his own struggles with imposter syndrome and the challenge of being authentic in a medium built on performance. The episode aired unedited. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Mental health organizations received record support. Comedians worldwide began talking openly about the pressure to always be funny. But perhaps the most meaningful response came from a teenager who wrote, "Mr. Reynolds, I've been trying to be funny all the time because I thought that's how people would like me. After watching your show, I think I'm going to try being myself instead. Thank you for showing me that real is better than perfect." It wasn't just late night television. It was a reminder that the most courageous thing you can do is stop performing long enough to remember who you really are.